I made a couple of parts here. We're going to go through and kind of talk about what kinds of sections we might use on these parts. Okay. So first, before we do that, what are the different types of sections? What's the first kind of section? The most common one, or full. And what happens in a full section? You cut the whole part in half, right? So the section view is fully a section. What's the next kind of section? Offset. Kind of like a full, but now it shifts in space. What's the next kind? Half. So when is a half section used? Or what does a half section do? It takes half of the view out, right? So a quarter of the part, half the view. But what's it let you do? What's different between a half section and a full section? On the full section, you see all of the inside, right? On the half section, you see half the inside and half the outside. So in case you had some other detail on the outside you want to show, the half section lets you see that also. What's another kind? Yeah, revolved. So if I had, like, I want to section this little piece here and turn it to see what the cross section of it looks like, that'd be revolved. Then what?
Broken.
Broken out. And what happens in a broken out section?
It's almost like a half section, but it just shows
it's kind of the idea of a half section, but it doesn't have to be exactly half. It can be just like whatever chunk you want to rip out of it. So it's kind of the easiest one to do because you don't have to do a cutting plane line. You don't have to do the whole view. You can just, this part's a section now. It's another one. Someone said one earlier. Aligned. What happens in an aligned section? What's it used for?
To show like say there's offset or holes in a circle around the part. You just change the direction so you could show, like, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Which other sections that kind of like? So it's kind of like an offset section, right? But instead of changing just forward and backward, now we can change angles. So things that are symmetric, but not necessarily aligned with each other. So we can kind of go through different things on a round part. What else? I think there's, what? And then there's removed. And so basically, removed is what?
Is it where you just pull a section out like an orange?
Yeah, so removed is basically any of these, pretty much, that's just put somewhere else. But also sometimes a removed section, instead of seeing from the cutting plane line and for everything up further on, it'll show just a slice at the cutting plane line. So it could be either way. It could show just a slice, or it could show the slice plus everything on the other side of the arrows. And so, like when we did this one, we would be cutting, looking from wherever that line is that way. So we'd see anything that happened behind it also. And so those are the types of sections. Why do we use sections? I mean, I know we said to look at the inside, but why does it matter? I mean, we can already see it with the hinge lines. What does it matter that now they're solid? Why do we care about that?
Well, I know we don't like to dimension things that are hidden lines.
Yeah, we don't like to dimension hidden lines. And so we want to dimension things where we can see them as an object line. So a section does that. What else does it do? So if we go back to this one, the side view right here is pretty confusing, right? How much different would it be if they did a section through here, and then they did a section through here, and a section through here? Right? So this one would be just these holes and that line. This one would be this hole, that line, and that line. And that one would just be this line up here and those two, right? So they wouldn't be stacked on top of each other. Because you get everything that's beyond the section, you don't use headlines for. And so now you can see just that section and beyond, and so this view that's pretty muddy becomes a little bit clearer. Yes, you get more views, but if you need those views for the clarity to see what's actually going on, then it's beneficial. All right, does that make sense? Any questions? All right, so what kind of sections could we use on this top piece there? So it's
half section.
Yeah, a half section would be good. What else? There's not always one answer. You could do a full section, right? A full section, see it, half section, you see it. What else? Yeah, probably one of those two.
Broken.
Right? You could do it broken out, but it's not really gonna break out the whole half, then might as well just do a half. So there's not a whole lot going on, so probably a full or a half section there. What about this one? This one's solid cylinder out here, and it's got like a V groove cutting through the middle here. What kind of section do you think that would use? Still, same thing, you could do a full. Now that there's something going on kind of just in one little section of it, maybe do a broken out section of just like this corner up here. So that way you can see what's going on. That way on the other side you can still see the hidden lines going around, but now on this side you can see the visible lines so you can dimension it. So, and also maybe even a half. So you can do a full, a half, or broken out on it. Which one is better?
Half.
Depends what you need.
Depends on what you want. So maybe a half, maybe a broken out would probably be what I would do. Just so that we can see the outside on one and the inside on the other side. But a full would be just fine also. What about this one here?
Aligned. No. Full section.
Yeah. You probably either a full section or even a half section again. On round things, also, if it's symmetrical, it's half is always an option. What about this one? Now we want the aligned, right? Because now we want to be able to cut them up through this leg, hit the center, and then go out this way. So we can come through here and then out through here. When we did that, if we did this though, so let's say I have that circle here, and I have
You had an align in CAD 10, right? When we had to do that, it was an oil, or I don't know exactly what it was.
maybe. Here, let's get something in here real quick. So if I want to project over to the side from here, can I just pick my lines and come down to the quadrant and come straight across here? So let's say my cutting plane line is going to go from there to there, and up to there. So that's my cutting plane line. Can I just have that come straight across to project the other view? No. What does this do? Here. When it's aligned, it's going to take this line and it's going to revolve it down there like that. So if you were gonna do a line section, you would need to draw a circle from there and then bring it down. Another little trick we'll do sometimes is we'll just take this thing here, we'll just rotate it around that center, and then how do I make that go straight? This should have gone through this middle. There we go. How do I make that? Actually, if it's there. So if I just rotate that from here, I can just rotate down like this, and that would be what I want to. Okay? So it's just kind of from wherever this is, if I just rotated it, if I didn't know the angle of that, it was just some random angle, how would I rotate it correctly? If I didn't know what angle this was drawn at, I didn't have a snap there. So like it's not snapping right. How would I make it go straight down? Command line. Reference. So reference, boom, boom, and now I can tell it goes straight. And now I can project over and then rotate it back. Usually what I do here is maybe like make a copy of it first and then rotate the copy. So I can take this here, select all the stuff, copy it from there to the same spot. So I picked it up, put it down, and now I can just rotate previous. It's gonna pick the last stuff I had picked, and now when I do it, it moves that one and leaves the original alone. And if I do a selection, I can see it only picked one thing. Because if I pick more than one thing, it's going to give me the parentheses. So a lot of times if I want to copy something into a weird position to do something, but I want to leave the originals there, make a copy of it, just put it down right on top of it, and then select the previous thing to move it. Okay. Any questions on that? What about this one? What? If I do a full section, can I cut through all the holes? Are they lined up? If I cut through this way, I'm going to hit one set of holes, but I'm going to miss the other set. So this is another aligned section. But now instead of just being two straight lines, it's going to have some arcs in there to pick up the other holes. So I can come through and then rotate around and come through and then rotate through and stuff like that. What about this one?
Full section.
Yeah, a full would be good. Which other one would be one that we might want to use? Maybe a half, but usually for halves they're used more on round parts. That's another one that's kind of like a half section, but easier. Broken out, because we don't have to do the section line. We can just like draw a squiggly over here and then break it out. How would we, actually, I don't think we've talked about that. So how would I do that? If I had this here and this, that's a hidden line. That's my object line. And I want to break this out and make it into a section, what would I do? How could I do that? Yeah, so I could draw a polyline,
Okay.
and so I could draw a polyline here, and then I could go into it and use, and I set it to a curve, either the curve fit or the spline fit, and do that. You can also just do the spline command, and now I can start here and boom, 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 and put it in. And now that just becomes my object line. And so if this part here is gonna, like, I'm still gonna see that back side. I'm still gonna see this, right? I'm still gonna see that, but this part right here just needs to become solid. So I'm gonna do my break at one point. Pick that line, pick there, make that object, and then in here, put in my hatch. And now I've got my broken out section. And this line right here, what's it supposed to be? Thin, thick, extra thick. It needs to be at least an object line, maybe even thicker. So might bump it up to the title block, or maybe just override my thickness. Instead of making it 0.6, drop it up to 0.7. That way it's a little bit thicker. Okay. Other questions on that one? That also, if I just do here though, is that enough? Where do I really want to do that section on this one?
I would want to cross the middle.
Right here in the middle, right? Because I need to tell how tall this thing is. If I just do it here, yeah, that lets me tell how deep this is. But I really care about, like, maybe in this section doing it broken out. So just break out like the center section here. And that way I can see the little over and up thing. Does that make sense? So you kind of pick on the important thing that you can't see. Because from here, yeah, we can see it as a hidden line, but we can't mention that. From here, we see it as just a line going across. We don't know what that line's doing. Remember, if we see just kind of two lines that are parallel, we don't know if it's a vertical thing, an angle thing, a curved thing to get between those two. We don't know what's happening to that surface, but from this way we can see it. So that's probably where we wanted to mention it. What about this?
Aligned.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe I'd want a section broke out here and there, but I guess it's pretty symmetrical, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fully symmetrical, but an aligned is used on round parts.
Yeah, you would. What's the one that goes over and up and down?
An offset?
Maybe?
That's an offset, yeah.
I mean, you could, but then when you come through here and then move over to the middle,
Yeah.
I don't. So here, if we're in that assembly, what do we probably care about seeing? Do we care about cutting the whole thing in half here? What's kind of more important that we might care about? Seeing what's going on. Yeah,
The
what's
bolts.
going on in the middle of here? Is this going into there? Does it stop there? How's the screw line up? How deep is the screw into the piece? That's all stuff we might care about, right? So probably just like a full section through one of these rods might be what we do. Or a broken out just on one corner of it here. Anything that would be different if you were going to do that drawing? Anything you need to watch out for? What do you do to show that it's different pieces of material? What about the hatch? Aaron said change the hatch.
The different types of design.
So you could pick a different material. So if they were different materials, that's an easy one. Just pick the hatch associated with that material. instead of using the standard ANSI 31 that's even, you could go in and change it to be 32 or whatever. Also remember, you can adjust the scale of these, make them smaller. So you can change the pattern, you can change the scale, and you also change the angle. So maybe you've got two different parts here. And we need another hatch next to it. We can put it here, but just change it to be, come on. Change it to be 90. So now, whether it's the same pattern, different pattern, it's really obvious that that's things different. And so now you can kind of even changing them to be, you know, a little bit like that. Now you can definitely see those are two different parts. You kind of, if you have two things, just make them at 90 to each other. If you have 3 or 4 things, then you have to start kind of getting creative on changing up patterns or changing angles to be a little bit different. All right. So, any other questions on section views?